Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of The Snake Pit. I'm your host, Son of Bat, and tonight I'll be talking about Automation Transfusion. Released in 2006, Automation Transfusion is an American independent zombie film written and directed by Stephen C. Miller, I believe in his directorial debut, and it was released under the Dimension Extreme line. For those of you who don't remember or didn't collect physical media back in the day, Dimension Extreme was essentially a subdivision of the Dimension Film Company, and it primarily focused on horror movies, specifically straight to DVD or independent horror films. Every so often, you got a couple action movies like Dead or Alive or Hell Ride, or you got a couple gross out comedy movies like Extreme Movie or Dirty Sanchez the movie, but mostly it was horror films that this label was primarily known for. And the thing that I mostly remember from this, label or subdivision, whatever you want to call it, was it was very hit or miss. So, like, what I mean by that was, if you got something that looked good or was good, it was usually really fucking good. If you got something that was pretty bad, it was really fucking bad. Rarely was there ever a middle ground. There was like one or two movies that kind of fell in the middle that were like, yeah, these are okay. But the good movies from this label were amazing. You got like Eden Lake, Storm Warning, Inside, Feast. Some of the bad movies you got were like the Pulse remakes, Triloquist, like Zombie Diaries, shit like that. I think the only two mid-tier movies I'd count from this company would probably be like, or at least that I remember, were like Feast 2 and 3. But I don't think I've seen everything here. I believe Black Sheep was another one on this label, so that would be up in the good category. But Automation Transfusion, this movie, it's like 16 years or plus in the making. It's my first time seeing it, and I actually knew quite a bit about this movie going into it. Well, a decent amount going into it. And the main reason I say that is because way back in the day when, there was very few blogs, before podcasts were really even a thing, you kind of went on like blog or like cult movie sites or pop culture sites to kind of get, recommendations or led onto paths of different movies. And this one that I remember going on like a lot was called imockery.com. And imockery was really cool because I remember like 4th or 5th grade me fucking seeing the dude's review about Itchy the Killer and, Texas Chainsaw 4, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. So this website helped me get tapped in as a little kid to like, horror movies and shit. And I remember there was like a subcategory for all the horror related blog posts or like horror movie related blog posts. And there was this thing called like the grab bag, where it showed like the best scene from whatever movie Buddy was reviewing or covered at the time. And I remember Automation Transfusion showed up in that category. Of course, it was like with movies like Army of Darkness and Reanimator and Serpent in the Rainbow, just to name a few that I could remember. And I remember clicking on it because as a kid, I would go through all of these. It was like the next best stop to a video store, in the sense that like when you went to Blockbuster on Friday nights, you took a video off the shelf and you looked at the back and you only had a couple pictures to go off of. So your imagination kind of went wild and you had to make up the story yourself, especially if your parents weren't going to rent the movie for you. And what sites like iMockery did was, along with the review of the movie, he would put GIFs of like really gory shit or really fucked up scenes. And I remember for Automation Transfusion, the scene he showed was, or the one that I could remember at least, was this zombie punching a chick in the stomach, ripping out her fucking fetus and eating it. And that stuck with me for years. I remember constantly remembering that scene and the cover for this DVD that we're looking at right now with Buddy, who's like chopped in half. And I always knew that one day I had to pick up this movie. The question was, would I find it? And sure enough, I found it one day when I was like, maybe in middle school or something. Bought it for like $6 because I guess that's what the price sticker on the inside of the case here is saying. Yeah, like $6.99. And bought it, put it in the collection, and pretty much let it sit. I kind of forgot about it. But, doing all these zombie reviews the past few months or weeks or whatever, how long it's been, I figured might as well give this movie a go. It's only about 70 minutes, so it's about like an hour and 15 minutes, give or take. Quick little zombie movie to rip through. If you saw my last review of Junk, you'd know that I'm a fan of short zombie movies, because usually that entails that it's going to be a straight up action movie, little to no social commentary, just straight up gore, bullets flying, heads exploding, that type of good shit. And from what I was reading on the specs here, that's what this movie, synced up to be. And even the back of the DVD, it made it look really crazy. You got all these like heavy metal, mohawk, pierced up, punk rock looking zombies. There's like all this like, enticing imagery on the DVD to make you think it's going to be an action ride. Even on the back, it tells you like these are some of the most fast and aggressive zombies you'll ever see. So I was fucking hyped. I was thinking like speed freak, like meth head, fucking crazy level zombies. And, I was like really amped for it. The trailers on the DVD, it's always a bad sign when the trailers are better than the actual movie that you're watching. A spoiler alert, I guess. But, you had trailers for like Rob Zombie's Halloween, Rogue, which was another Dimension Extreme film. And, it was just hyping me up. It was making me like, go back into that 2000s mindset. Like, oh shit, here we go. It's going to be just like a mindless, gory fucking flick. And man, I was fucking disappointed with this movie. I mean, yeah, sure, it was fast and everything. It was gory, but yeah, this movie was a dud. I'm probably going to spoil some of this movie because there's no way I can explain it without spoiling it. But essentially, like, if I were to, go over the plot really quickly, essentially it's about, like, a town that's overtaken by zombies and a group of high school seniors that take it upon themselves to fight back and find a cure for the disease. That's pretty much it. I guess Florida zombie movie would be the best way to describe it. But, yeah, so I'm going to basically describe the Wikipedia plot because none of this will make any sense without it. But essentially, yeah, Automation Transfusion, directed and written by Stephen C. Miller, produced by Will Clevenger, Joffrey James Clark, and Jeremy McCormick, starring Garrett Jones, Juliette Reeves, and William Howard Bowman. Cinematography by Jeff Dolan. Distributed by Dimension Extreme and released on October 18th, 2006. At Screamfest Film Festival. So I guess this did get a limited theatrical release with a running time of 70 minutes and, country of origin, United States, English language, but the budget of $30,000. Sorry, just going over the specs there, and I kind of brain farted a little baked right now, as you may be able to tell. But yeah, this was made for $30,000. I believe it was shot in about like 2 weeks or something, really fast, and you can kind of tell. The acting in this movie is not great at all. It's kind of cringy at times. Some of it's a little hammy, a little bit overacting, especially from this character Scott in the movie, played by William Howard Bowman. This dude, he was hammy as fuck. I really did not like his character. To be honest, I didn't really like anybody in this movie. They were all kind of like... And it's not really on them. I guess they weren't professional actors, but like the vibe this movie gives off was like, hey, let's film a horror movie, and Buddy got a bunch of his friends together and shot it, which I mean, cool, good for you, man. Like, it's awesome to get out there and create. It's more than I could do or, other reviewers could do. So I don't want to just like bash on this dude, Stephen C. Miller, because he got out there and he made his project and he got to do it. But, it wasn't great. The cinematography in this movie was like a huge drawback for me. Essentially, it was like very digital, 2000s digital camera is the best way to describe it. And it was very fast, but there was also scenes or like points where it felt like a frame rate breakup, where it would like feel like the movie was going in slow-mo and shit. And it was rough to sit through. Like, I was kind of like passing out a bit, like I didn't pass out, like I was just taking micro naps where I'd wake up and snap back. But I knew it wasn't good if your movie was like less than an hour or just slightly over an hour and I'm like kind of nodding out. It was just not great. The music in this movie was really cringy. It was kind of funny though, because it did bring back that like 2005, 2006 Hot Topic vibe. But the best way to describe the music, I wouldn't even say it's metal. I'd call it like pussy core. Like, you know exactly what I mean, where those guys got like the fucking really colorful tattoos and the fucking screamo douche flip hair. Like, it was that level of bad. And it was like the same couple songs playing every once in a while. And if it wasn't like pussy core music, it was like fucking stock sound effect, like horror movie generic sound music. The gore was really cool. I mean, it wasn't great, but there was a couple scenes that were really good. Like the fetus getting punched and ripped out of the chick's stomach was really fucking cool. There's a part where a chick gets her jaw completely ripped off her fucking face. There's one kill where toward the end of the movie where our characters are in a school, and I guess it's in the weight room / pool room, and this chick gets toppled by a zombie, and she flies right over the edge of the fucking weight room deck and smashes her face off the edge of the pool before drowning in the water. That was a really cool kill. But other than that, everything was moving too fast. You couldn't really like see a lot of the zombie action, which was kind of a shame because, you know, for a running zombie or an action zombie movie, yeah, sure, you want it to be fast and chaotic, but you really want to be able to see what's going on. And in this movie, because I guess it was really low budget, you couldn't really tell what the fuck was going on for a lot of like the uber violent like zombie kill montages or whatever you want to call it. It just kind of felt all over the place, and it didn't help. Like nothing really lended. Like the acting was bad, the cinematography was bad, the music was bad, everything was just not great, and it kind of complemented each other with how bad it was. And I was just waiting for this movie to end. Like I was just honestly counting down the minutes until it was over. Just was not great. But essentially a more fleshed out plot is basically like in how these zombies started, because again, it was basically like Florida small town, kids in a high school. One group of kids are going to this massive party in the woods. The other group, which is the main characters, go to like a concert in Orlando. And, you know, the house party just breaks out into like zombies killing everybody. And when the guys get down to the concert in Orlando, they like realize there's no cars anywhere. They get overrun by zombies. They stay in a bar for about 5 minutes, get a shotgun, run out, and drive back to their little town in the middle of the woods. And then essentially they go from location to location killing zombies. A couple of survivors will die here and there. And then you get this like huge exposition dump in the last 15 minutes where they explain everything that's going on. And then the movie goes so far as to end on a fucking cliffhanger. Like it literally ends with a to be continued. And essentially it plays out like a video game in the sense that you have like, it's kind of like Left 4 Dead where you got 4 people and it's like, go from place to place. You got hordes of running zombies like that you got to take out and shit. You know, first they're on the road, then they're in a party, then they're in a school, then they're in a hospital, then they got a serum. Like it felt like a video game, which can be really cool. You know, like I was saying with that movie Junk, that felt like a Resident Evil fucking game, but it worked. It was awesome. It had a really good pace. This one could have worked. This one really could have worked with the fast-paced zombies. Like I said, it felt like Left 4 Dead, and I think this was even before Left 4 Dead, so that's kind of crazy. But it had a lot that could have, it had a lot going for it that could have been really cool. But ultimately, the execution was just, you know, really piss poor. And essentially, what the exposition dump explains is that in the early 1970s, while the majority of Americans were focused on the events in the Vietnam War, and while they were, you know, drawing more against it, the United States Army was secretly developing a way to resurrect and control dead bodies. The logic being that they could deploy the dead behind enemy lines to kill people, or enemy combatants, so then the U.S. wouldn't have to send any more of their own guys in, so that mothers wouldn't have to hear that their sons died on the front lines. 30 years later, because basically the government realizes they can't control the zombies, they shut down the project. But 30 years later, the army decides to reopen the project in this place called Grover City, because it's a remote city where, you know, they can essentially like watch the whole situation and, you know, Truman Show guinea pig everything. Eventually everything goes horribly wrong, and that's where our outbreak comes from. But, you know, it could have been cool, but it's just, and I don't want to knock, you know, an independent or a low budget movie. I love low budget independent like horror flicks. It's just, I think, you know, with a digital camera, it didn't help. It just kind of like looks a little gross. It's not that it's disorienting, because that would kind of knock found footage movies, which, you know, I feel like my generation of people who grew up with them or with a huge influx of them are kind of used to like the motion sickness. This wasn't a found footage movie, and it still had like bizarre movement and kind of gave me motion sickness, which is crazy considering I could watch like 4 or 5 found footage movies back to back and be fine. But if I watched 4 movies like this back to back, I would be fucking sick. I don't even think I could do 2. Yeah, it was kind of just a mess. It was all over the place. It just looked gross. The parts that were cool were few and far between. Like I said, there was 3 really good kills, but the rest of it was just held down by, like, again, shitty soundtrack, shitty cinematography, and not really great actors, in my opinion. Either they were too over the fucking top, like way over the top, or they were just very monotone. You couldn't really hear what they were saying. Again, it felt like a bunch of people that this guy Stephen C. Miller knew, like friends and family, got together one weekend and they shot this movie, which again, it can be cool if done right. This one just did not land for me, in my opinion. If I were to rate this on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd probably give this a 2.5 or a 3 at best, and that's just being kind. I don't want to be like a super douchebag about it and be like, oh, well, this movie is garbage. Like, but it wasn't my cup of tea. It wasn't great. Especially for a fast-paced zombie movie with runners. It's kind of a bad sign that, you got a fast-paced movie, but it felt like a walker. It felt slow as fuck. Don't know if I could recommend this one. It is what it is. If you want to search up like some scenes on the internet, you're better off doing that. Again, with me, this only cost about $6, so I'm not hurting too bad about it, but I couldn't imagine paying any more than $5 for it. It's not worth it. The DVD does come with some special features I didn't get into, though, but it has some deleted scenes with optional director's commentary, short film by Stephen C. Miller called Suffer or Sacrifice, music video by two of the bands in the pussycore genre, I guess. Not checking those out anytime soon. Trials and Tribulations, the making of Automation Transfusion, which might be interesting. I might give that a check out one day, and feature commentary. But again, you can do better with zombie movies. I would definitely go with Junk over this movie any day of the fucking week. But it is cool if you're trying to collect, Dimension Extreme DVDs, anything like that. But you're not missing much with this movie. It says the unrated and undead edition. I couldn't imagine what a rated version of this would look like, because I'd imagine it would probably cut out the 3 cool kills I was talking about earlier. But yeah, if you want to see a zombie rip a fetus out of a woman's stomach and eat it, check this movie out. It's got that, but other than that, it doesn't have much else going for it. That is Automation Transfusion. This was kind of a short review, but it was a very short movie. It didn't really give me much to go on. Actually, before I, did this review, I wanted to look at the reviews. I didn't want to spoil it before I watched it, but I wanted to figure, because I've been waiting so long to watch this movie, what I was kind of getting myself in for. So I went on IMDb, and essentially it was all like 1-star, 2-star reviews, and everyone was saying it was dog shit. And I was thinking I was thinking about the iMockery website and the stills I was looking at. And I'm like, it couldn't be that bad. Maybe everyone was just, all the reviews are from 2007, 2008. So I'm thinking maybe it just was just gross and people were pussies back then and they didn't know what they were talking about. But no, IMDb got it right. This movie is dog shit. You can skip it. It's not a loss or anything. That's why I didn't mind spoiling the plot, which I usually don't do. But yeah, Automation Transfusion. And again, it ends with a fucking to be continued in the middle of an action sequence, which I thought was really fucking annoying. On top of the exposition dump you just get 2 minutes prior to this fucking to be continued happening. Apparently this was supposed to be part 1 of a trilogy that never got made. But on IMDb it says Automation Transfusion 2 is in production. However, I'm not going to be rushing out to see a sequel for this. No offense, Mr. C. Miller. But yeah, not great. Automation Transfusion, you know what it is. I'm going to go fucking get a coffee at Tim's, and I'm going to go rip some fucking bowls and maybe watch something better or read a book, because fuck, that's 70 minutes I ain't getting back. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. And oh shit, I just took in, movie came out on October 18th, and it is October 18th. That is fucking spooky.